We are talking poetry, figurative language, and structure techniques. Now, to be clear, figurative language and structure, those things can appear in all types of writing, but our focus for today is poetry. So, we're going to have an overview of those things as well as some core habits for how to annotate in English class. Poetry analysis has two reads. The first is literal, and the second, our focus for today, figurative and structural meaning. So, what do figurative language and structure mean? Figurative language is language that does not have a normal, everyday, literal meaning. It's used by writers for dramatic effect or for the sake of comparison to deepen understanding. And structure is the arrangement, form, or organization of a literary composition, how it's put together. Here is a table of all types of common figurative language and structure techniques. You do not need to attempt to memorize all of this by any means. These are just some of the more common ones. You will see that list as well as this video and all sorts of tools to analyze figurative and structure techniques on the English Basics one-pager. Now, like I said a moment ago, that second read is where you get the figurative and structural meaning in your notes. You should not move on to that second read until you've done the first and already have your literal meaning notes. So how does that look? Here is a blank set of 3-column notes for poetry reading. You see the one on the right, that's where you log your figurative and structural notes, but you only fill that out after you already filled in the first 2 columns, the it says and I say columns. So let's look at an example here. This is from the poem Eating Poetry we already looked at earlier this year. You see I have a more literal note saying how the speaker is happy to be reading poetry. But wait, there's more. There is some figurative language. I see there is personification. You see the highlight, ink running. That's personification because any language giving human characteristics or traits to non-human things, that's personification. And you see the abbreviation highlighted there, PER. Use those abbreviations in your notes. It's just cleaner, it takes up less space, it'll save you time as well. Again, you can see all the abbreviations here, not only for personification, but for all the other techniques. They're listed right underneath the full name. So let's see how a note for that might actually look. I'm only showing you the figurative language and structure box right here. It's 3 steps. Step 1, we already did it. See the technique. Identify what figurative language or structure technique you see. So in this case, we saw personification. Ink is running. Ink can't run. That's giving a human trait to a non-human thing. So I name that. You see the PER with the red underline. Second, name the comparison. What comparison does the figurative language make, or how is it used? You see the blue underline. Ink running. Third and last, this is the hard part, interpret the meaning. Analyze what that technique means or how it adds meaning, right? What deeper understanding does the figurative language give you? How does it add to your literal understanding? Why did the author choose it? So ask yourself, how does this figurative language or structure deepen my understanding? What's it add? Why did the author choose it? I think in this case, it adds to the speaker's sense of excitement and energy. So that is how I finished the note. The author could have picked any word. He didn't have to say run. He could have said the ink dribbled or walked or moved. The fact that he said it's running really added to the sense of energy and enthusiasm. So that's the idea I wanted to capture in my figurative note. And lastly, I just want to remind you, all of these techniques, they can be seen right on the English Basics one-pager, as well as some tips for how to fully annotate with those 3-column notes for poetry reading. It's all on the English Basics one-pager. Thank you for watching. That was figurative language and structure techniques.